So my freedom of speech, I'm not entitled to freedom of speech. The Devon and Cornwall Police believe that it's acceptable for others to have freedom of speech, and they can say what they like, they can lie, they can make up stories, they can manipulate other people into attacking you. That's acceptable, the Devon and Cornwall Police think. But because I'm a shotgun licence holder and I own shotguns, and I have shotguns in my cabinet, I'm not allowed to debate with someone on the internet because it could cause offence. Right? It could cause distress. It could be classed as harassment. And yet, the other way round, for 4 years, my bunny boiler has lied, misled, gone out of her way to ruin my business, affect my life, affect my family, and that's acceptable because she doesn't own a shotgun. So there is one law for me and one law for others. As soon as I retaliate with anybody and fight back, verbally, not physically, verbally, I'm in the wrong. And I'm being monitored by a Sergeant Hunter, and he has gone out of his way in the last 2 years to try and find something on me, to have my guns taken off me, to have my life turned upside down, all because I put a video up about him on YouTube and he wasn't happy about it. He wasn't happy. So he's now got a vendetta against me. So any word that I say that could be perceived as a threat in any way, they monitor, analyse, send it to the experts to say, can we get him now? Can we get him now? So I've got to be so careful what I say. I'm not allowed to have freedom of speech. I was going to keep this quiet and not say nothing. I've been dealing with the police for over 2.5 years with this, trying to get this resolved in a proper way. And unfortunately, the Devon and Cornwall Police are more interested in the fact that she's entitled to freedom of speech because she lives in Scotland, and I'm not allowed freedom of speech, and I'm told not to put up any videos and not to put up anything about this woman and not to debate with her. I've had to sign a form saying that I'll not debate with her on any internet site, because when she first complained, she said it was harassment. She said she felt frightened because I was replying to her. They had nothing of substance to take my guns off me, because as a gun licence holder, you've got to be so careful. You can't make threats of violence towards people. But yes, I did swear at her down the phone. And people keep saying to me, move on, Chris, move on. It's so easy to move on. But when the police keep coming round and saying, will you voluntarily surrender your guns because someone's made an allegation against you and we need to check it out, I find it tiresome after a while that they still think, after 4 years of non-stop abuse from this woman, that I may do something at the spur of the moment and may check out the situation and go off the rails. I haven't gone off the rails in all the time I've had my shotguns. So the chances of that happening is quite remote. And do you know what? People like that ain't worth it. So it's simple, isn't it? I got to be so careful what I say. One of the things I actually said was, if I hand my guns in, you better go into hiding, because I'm going to come after you and expose you for what you are. And then that would give me freedom of speech, because if I didn't have my guns, the police couldn't do anything to me. by me using freedom of speech on the internet and saying and exposing this woman for what she really is. But as soon as I debate with her on the internet, and that's what she's trying to do, she's trying to cause friction, so I debate with her. She's coming on to forums that I'm on and starting to make comments and asking me, trying to push me into debating with her. As soon as I debate with her, then she can phone the police, and Devon and Cornwall Police would take my guns off me on the understanding that I've agreed that I will not debate with her. I agreed this at the time when she said this was harassment. And ever since that date, she has done nothing but harass me. So, my question is this. I've been watching a lot to do with Islam and Muslims, and I'm not racist in any way. I've got some very good friends of all different colours and ethnic backgrounds, right? I'm not, but I don't like the way a lot of this is going in this country. And I've been watching a lot of this Tommy Robinson videos lately, and it's very similar. He's in a situation that we're supposed to have freedom of speech in this country, but you're not allowed to incite hatred. And yet you've got Muslims who are into Islam standing on the streets in the town that he lived in, I don't know if he still lives there, spitting at soldiers coming home from the war, shouting all police must burn in hell, inciting hatred. They don't get arrested and charged, and yet as soon as Tommy Robinson says something, he is taken aside and arrested, or warned that he'll be arrested for causing an affray or breach of the peace. Where's the sensibility in all this? Why are some people protected and other people aren't? We've either got freedom of speech in this country, and I've come to the conclusion there's no such thing as freedom of speech in this country. It's down to what the police allow you to say and allow you to do, because they'll pressurise you and they'll get you in the end. They'll look for you and they'll keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and they're looking for one little thing that you do, you know, and then they can say, right, you're not a fit and proper person. And that's a terrible thing, because that means it takes away our human rights but gives other people the power to abuse us. And the whole reason of freedom of speech that I've been reading about is so you have the right to defend yourself. You have the right to say, no, that didn't happen. And it's great. The police keep telling me that what you've got to do is you've got to take these people to a civil court and sue them. It's £20,000 for libel. We've checked into it. How the hell can the average person, okay, if you're a film star or you're rich, you're an actor or you know, someone famous, and you've got plenty of money coming in, perhaps you can sue them, perhaps you can have them for libel and expose them. And that's a good thing if you've got the money. But what happens when you haven't got the money? What happens when the person who's rubbishing you hasn't got the money, and you've had that checked out first before you waste £20,000 on taking them to court for libel and slander and making an example of them? Because trust me, if my bunny boiler had the funds, I'd be taking her to court. But at the end of the day, the police think it's acceptable for her to rubbish me because that's freedom of speech. It doesn't matter whether she's lying, it doesn't matter whether she's making up total fabrication of the truth, right? That doesn't matter. What matters is that I don't reply to her because she's offended with what I say and the videos I put up. So these are the people who are ruining it for you guys and girls, because you're seeing somebody training dogs to a high standard who's being honest and yet being persecuted for it. I have to accept that there is going to be people out there who's not going to like my methods. I can accept that. I can accept that people don't like my ideology. I can accept that. But you don't need to spread slander, lies about myself and my business, right, to promote yourself, but some people feel that's acceptable, and the police aren't interested in that because that's a civil matter, and it's easy to pass it over and say that's a civil matter. That's what they're doing, they're passing it over and saying that's a civil matter. So I've got to get on with my life, but you must understand that I've been restricted, and it needs to be told, because if people aren't told about this, then you can get yourselves into trouble being shotgun licence holders. If someone upsets you on the internet and you say one word that might be construed as, if you say I'm coming to get you, that doesn't mean you're physically going to come and get them. You could be verbally going to come and get them. You could be I'm coming to get you, I'm going to expose you. One of the comments I said going back 4 years, and they questioned me vigorously about it, is I'm going to release the dogs of war. What do you mean, Mr. Upton? What do you mean when you say you're going to release the dogs of war? What, are you going to become a vigilante and attack people? No. These are my dogs of war. I'm going to let the dogs show you the quality of my training. Just because I'm slightly eccentric, perhaps, artistic, some might say autistic, they take offence by it, certain people, and because certain people take offence by it, when in reality, if someone said it to me, the police would say, go away, Mr. Upton, it's called freedom of speech. They're entitled to say that. It's freedom of speech. They didn't say they were coming to get you. No one's come and got you. They tell me that I've got to put up with the threats on the internet because only 1% actually follow it through. So when somebody says, if I find you, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to punch you in the head, that's acceptable when it's against me. But if I said that, I would and I should get my guns taken off me if I threatened to punch somebody in the head if I found them. Because that's not the way you should act as a reasonable civil person. If something happens and someone attacks you and then you fight back, that's totally acceptable in my eyes. Get on.